If this message found you tonight, it wasn't an accident. It was sent. Out of all the voices you could be hearing right now, all the noise you could be drowning in, something quieter led you here. You did not stumble onto these words. These words came looking for you. There is a truth that almost no one tells you, and the world has built its entire machinery to keep it from you. What belongs to you is already moving toward you. It is not lost. It is not late. It is not trapped behind some door you have failed to push hard enough. And the only thing standing between you and the life God has prepared is not your lack of effort. It is the very anxiety with which you have been chasing it. There is a silent force that has been moving behind everything you have ever received and everything you have ever lost. It does not shout. It does not strain. It works in the quiet beneath your panic, beneath your endless calculating, beneath the exhausting weight of trying to control what was never yours to control. I call it the quiet door. And once you understand it, nothing in your life will look the same again. Let this fall all the way down into your spirit. You do not receive what you chase. You receive what you make room for. The calmer you become, the more clearly heaven can reach you. But understand the cost of ignoring this. Every time you force a door, you break the key in the lock. Every time you let panic take the wheel, you sabotage with your own hands the very life you have been praying for. So before we go deeper, sit with one question and do not rush to answer it. What is God still waiting for you to put down before He can finally place something far greater into your hands? Hold that question. Do not solve it yet. By the time we are finished, you will know the answer and you will never be able to unsee it. Take a breath now, a real one. Slow it down. Because what you are about to hear was not made to entertain you. It was made to rearrange something inside of you. For the next stretch of time, there is nothing else you need to fix. There is only you, this voice, and a truth that has been waiting patiently for you to grow quiet enough to receive it. Most people misunderstand calm completely. They think calm is weakness. What happens when a person has given up, settled, lowered their dreams, so they avoid it. They treat their anxiety like fuel. They treat their restlessness like ambition. They wear their exhaustion like a badge of honor and call it faith. And then they wonder why the harder they grip, the more life slips through their fingers. But calm is not weakness. Calm is the highest form of power a human being can carry. It is the strength that no longer needs to prove itself. It is the soul that has stopped fighting reality long enough to finally hear God speak. A raging river cannot reflect the sky. Only still water can. And only a still soul can reflect the will of heaven clearly enough to follow it. When you are anxious, you cannot hear guidance. When you are panicked, you cannot recognize the open door. When you are desperate, you make the wrong decisions quickly and the right decisions never. Fear has a voice, and that voice is always loud, always urgent, always certain the sky is about to fall. But the voice of God almost always comes as a whisper, and a whisper can only be heard by someone who has lowered the noise inside themselves enough to listen. This is the bridge between your faith and your mind. Your faith tells you God is working on your behalf. Your mind, when it is calm, is finally able to perceive that work and stop interrupting it. Anxiety is not a sign that you care more. It is a sign that you have forgotten who is holding you. And the moment you remember, your whole body changes. Your breathing slows. Your shoulders drop. And the life that had been waiting at the door this entire time finally steps in. There is a sentence in the book of Psalms that has survived thousands of years because it carries the weight of pure truth. Be still and know that I am God. Notice the order of the words. It does not say strive and know. It does not say worry and know. It says be still. The stillness comes first. The knowing comes second. You cannot truly know that God is in control while your soul is sprinting in every direction at once. The stillness is not the absence of action. It is the absence of fear. It is the inner decision to stop treating your life as an emergency, the moment you stop trying to carry the weight of the whole universe on your own two shoulders. And remember that the universe was carrying you long before you ever learned how to worry. When you are still, you're not doing nothing. You are doing the deepest thing a person can do. You are remembering who God is and remembering who you are not. Napoleon Hill spent his life studying the most successful and most fulfilled people in the world, and he discovered something that surprised even him. The great achievers were not the most frantic. They were the most composed. Hill said the subconscious mind responds far more readily to thoughts charged with calm faith than to thoughts charged with fear. A mind in chaos cannot plant anything. The soil is moving too fast. But a calm mind is settled soil, and into settled soil you can finally plant a seed that will grow. Every thought you think is a seed. When your inner weather is a constant storm of anxiety, even your best seeds get washed away before they take root. You pray a powerful prayer and then 10 minutes later, your fear digs it back up to check if it is growing yet. Nothing can grow in ground that is constantly being torn open by worried hands. But the person who has learned to be still plants the seed, covers it, trusts it, and walks away in peace. And that seed, hidden in the quiet, does what seeds do. It grows. This is why two people can pray the exact same prayer and live two completely different lives. One prays from desperation, and desperation keeps digging. The other prays from stillness, and stillness lets the seed sleep until it is ready to rise. The difference was never the words. The difference was the frequency underneath the words. So let this settle in you. Your calm is not a delay on the way to your blessing. Your calm is the very condition your blessing has been waiting for. You have had the order backwards your whole life. Calm first. Then everything else follows. There is a moment in the life of Jesus that the world has never stopped retelling, because everyone, in some season, finds themselves inside that exact scene. Jesus and his disciples were crossing the sea in a small boat when a violent storm rose up without warning. The wind screamed. The waves climbed higher than the boat. The disciples, many of them experienced fishermen, were certain they were about to die. And in the middle of all that terror, they turned and found Jesus asleep in the storm. And when they shook him awake, crying out that they were perishing, he stood and spoke 3 words to the storm. Peace, be still. And the wind stopped and there was a great calm. But hear what most people miss. The sea did not go quiet and then Jesus became calm. The sea went quiet because he was already calm. He carried the stillness into the storm. You will never argue the storm into stillness. You carry the stillness in, and the storm bends to the frequency you bring. Look honestly at how you have been living. You have been waiting for the wind to stop before you allow yourself to rest. You have been waiting for the bills to be paid before you allow yourself to breathe. You have been waiting for the diagnosis, the phone call, the answer, the open door, before you finally permit your soul to be at peace. But that is backwards. The peace is not the prize at the end of the storm. The peace is the authority you bring into the middle of it. Napoleon Hill said no person can think clearly while their mind is dominated by fear, and that the mastery of fear is the first requirement of all lasting achievement. He called emotional control one of the great secrets of every successful life he studied. Not the absence of emotion, the mastery of it. The person ruled by their feelings is at the mercy of every wave. But the person who has learned to govern their inner state can stand in the same storm and remain unmoved, and from that place, finally think, decide, and act with wisdom. So consider your own life. Which storm has been waking you at night? You have permitted that situation to walk into your inner world and rearrange your peace as if it owned the place. But it does not own the place. You do. There is another story in the scriptures that explains, more clearly than any other, why your calm matters so much. It is the story of the prophet Elijah. He was exhausted, afraid, at the very end of himself. He had run for his life, collapsed under a tree, and asked God to let him die. And God told this broken, anxious man to go and stand on the mountain because God was about to pass by. A great and powerful wind came, so strong it tore the mountains apart. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind came an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And then, after all the noise, there came a still small voice, a gentle whisper. And there, in the whisper, was God. Do you understand what that is telling you? God was not in the loud things. God was in the quiet thing. And here is the heartbreak of how most people live. They are so surrounded by their own internal wind, their own earthquakes of worry, their own fires of fear, that even when God whispers, they cannot hear a thing. The guidance is being given. The answer is being whispered. But a whisper cannot compete with a storm. So the anxious soul stands in the noise crying out that God is silent, when God is not silent at all. God is simply quiet, and quiet can only be heard by the quiet. So let me ask you something, and let it land. How many times has God whispered to you, and you missed it because you were too loud inside to hear? How many soft impressions to call that person, to wait one more day, to let that thing go, did you override because they did not arrive with the volume and the drama your anxious mind was waiting for? You have been listening for thunder, but heaven has been speaking in whispers. Somewhere in your recent days, God has already whispered something to you. A name came to mind, a quiet knowing rose up, and you talked yourself out of it because it was too quiet to trust. That whisper is still valid. It did not expire. The moment you grow calm enough to hear it again, it will return, because the gentle voice does not give up on the souls it loves. And if a particular whisper just came back to your mind as I said that, then go down to the comments and write the word heard. Just that one word. Not for me. For your own soul, so that your own spirit knows you are choosing from tonight to finally listen. Now there is a second thing the world has wounded you with, and you must be healed of it, because it is one of the great thieves of your peace. The world has trained you to fight against time. It has taught you that if your blessing has not arrived yet, then something has gone wrong, and the answer is to push harder and faster. It has made you allergic to waiting, and that allergy is quietly destroying your calm, because almost everything good in life arrives through a season of waiting, and a soul at war with waiting is a soul at war with its own life. But the scriptures speak of time completely differently. The book of Ecclesiastes says there is a time for everything, a time to plant and a time to harvest. Planting and harvesting are not the same time. There is a gap between them, and that gap is not a punishment. It is the season in which the seed does its hidden sacred work underground. The anxious farmer, by digging up the seed to check on it, guarantees that nothing will ever grow at all. You have been treating the waiting seasons of your life as proof that you were forgotten. But the waiting season is not your enemy. It is the soil, where the roots go deep, where the unseen preparation happens in your circumstances and inside your own character, so that when the blessing finally arrives, you are someone who can actually hold it. Many people never receive what they ask for, not because God refused, but because they were not yet built to carry it. The wait is not the withholding. The wait is the construction. Napoleon Hill noticed that those who failed almost always failed at the exact moment of waiting. They were one step from the breakthrough. But the silence convinced them nothing was happening, so they panicked, abandoned the seed, and walked away from a harvest that was nearly ready to break the surface. The calm soul does not do this. It understands that silence is not absence, that delay is not denial, and that the ground is doing its work even when the eyes can see nothing at all. There is a psalm that paints this rest more beautifully than any other words ever could. The Lord is my shepherd. He makes me lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside still waters. He makes me lie down, because a restless sheep left to itself would wander and worry and exhaust itself and never stop. And he leads me beside still waters, not rushing waters, because a sheep is afraid of turbulent water and will not drink from it. So the shepherd leads them gently away from the chaos to a quiet place, and there he restores their soul. That is what God is doing in the still seasons of your life. He is not ignoring you. He is leading you like a patient shepherd toward the still water where you can finally be restored. Restoration does not happen in the noise. It happens beside still waters. So stop running from the quiet. The quiet is where you are being healed. So I ask you again, the question from the beginning is still waiting. And now part of the answer is becoming clear. God is waiting for you to put down your war with time. He is waiting for you to stop treating the waiting as proof of failure and start trusting it as proof of preparation. The moment you make peace with the season you are in, you stop leaking energy into resistance, and all of that recovered energy becomes available for the calm, magnetic, trusting state that draws your good toward you. There is a law underneath everything you have been living, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. You do not draw to yourself what you ask for with your lips. You draw what you broadcast with your state. And desperation, no matter how spiritual it dresses itself up to be, broadcasts only one message: I do not have enough, I am not safe, I cannot trust what is coming. And life, faithful and exact, simply confirms the signal it receives. This is why the harder you chase, the more it runs. When you grip something with anxious hands, your very grip announces that you believe it is scarce, that you believe it is leaving, and that announcement repels the very thing you are reaching for. A clenched fist cannot receive a gift. The person desperate for love repels love because desperation is heavy, and heaviness suffocates what it touches. The one frantic for provision repels it because provision flows toward calm confidence and away from panic. But the one who has made peace within themselves seems to attract favor without even trying. Calm is magnetic, desperation pushes away, and you have been living on the wrong side of that law for far too long. Napoleon Hill said that thoughts are things, and that every thought a person holds with deep feeling begins in time to draw its physical equivalent toward them. Your dominant emotional state is not private. It radiates out of you constantly, into every room, every conversation, every decision, and into the unseen field where your future is being assembled. You are always broadcasting. The only question is what. So understand what desperation costs you. When you obsess over the bill you cannot pay, you are not solving it. You are deepening the groove of lack in your own mind. When you replay the rejection, the betrayal, the failure, you are not protecting yourself. You are rehearsing it. And what you rehearse, you reinforce, and what you reinforce, you eventually relive. Fear is a creative force pointed in the wrong direction, and every anxious soul, without knowing it, is constructing the exact prison they are begging God to free them from. This is the silent sabotage that costs more lives than any external enemy ever could. People do not usually fail because the door was locked. They fail because they pounded on the door so frantically that they never heard it click open. The opportunity came dressed as a small, unremarkable nudge, a gentle thought, a calm idea, and they ignored it because they were waiting for a thunderclap. And God rarely sends thunderclaps to people who cannot hear whispers, but everything you can sabotage, you can also save. The moment you change the frequency you are living from, the entire equation of your life begins to turn. Now let us be honest about what happens inside your body when you live this way, because this is not only spiritual. Your Creator built your mind and body to work in agreement, and what science has uncovered only confirms what the scriptures said long ago. When you live in fear, your body is flooded with the chemistry of survival. Your heart races, your breathing turns shallow. In that state, the part of your brain responsible for vision, for patience, for creativity, for wise long-term decisions, goes quiet. This is why, when you are anxious, you genuinely cannot see solutions that would be obvious to a calm person. It is not a character flaw, it is biology. Fear narrows your perception down to a tunnel, and a tunnel only shows you the threat. It hides every door, every option, every gift standing just outside the narrow beam of your panic. But when you grow still, everything reverses. When your breathing slows and your body receives the signal that you are safe, the survival chemistry recedes and the higher mind comes back online. Suddenly, the same problem that looked impossible an hour ago reveals 3 solutions. Nothing on the outside changed. Your biology changed, and your biology changed your perception, and your perception is the only world you have ever actually lived in. There is a structure deep in the brain whose job is to filter the flood of the world down to what you have told it matters. When you live in fear, you train that filter to scan only for threat, and so threat is all you see. But when you live in calm expectancy, that same filter begins to surface the open doors, the quiet opportunities, the right people you would have walked past in your panic. Stillness is a physical state that unlocks a higher mind. The prophet Isaiah recorded a sentence the anxious world has ignored for thousands of years. In returning and rest you shall be saved, and in quietness and confidence shall be your strength. Then he added a heartbreaking line. The people were not willing. God offered them strength through quietness, and they refused it, because quietness felt like doing nothing, and doing nothing felt like dying. Humanity has been making that same refusal ever since. Your strength is not in your striving. It is hidden in your ability to be quiet and confident at the same time, to rest your body and trust your God in a single unbroken motion. And there is a verse that completes the picture. God will keep in perfect peace the one whose mind is stayed on him. Not ordinary peace, perfect peace. A peace so deep it cannot be explained by your circumstances, because it was never coming from your circumstances in the first place. And here is where I need you to do something, because this truth is not meant to stay inside a screen. If something in these words is reaching the deeper part of you, if you can feel your own breathing slowing down right now, then pause and speak directly into the comments. Write this exact sentence so your own eyes can see your own decision. Write, "Today I choose stillness over striving." Do not scroll past that instruction, because the moment you put it into words that exist outside of you, you have made it real. And while you are there, if this message is doing something true inside you, take 1 second to like this video and to subscribe, not as an empty gesture, but as a declaration that you are choosing to feed your mind with truth instead of noise from now on. Now we go to the heart of everything, the silent force I named at the very beginning, the quiet door. It is not a metaphor, and it is not a mood. It is the invisible operating state of your entire life, the steady inner posture from which you meet your whole existence. It is not what you say you believe. It is the actual emotional temperature you are running at underneath all of that, hour after hour. And here is the truth almost no one is taught. Life does not respond to your words. Life responds to your frequency. You can speak prayers of abundance all day long, but if the state underneath is fear, then fear is the order you are placing. Most people live their entire lives broadcasting on the frequency of anxiety and then cannot understand why their life keeps matching it. They speak hope, but they vibrate worry. And life, far more honest than we are, ignores the announcement and answers the state. The quiet door is the posture of the one who already knows. It is the inner stance of a person who has settled it deep in their bones that what is meant for them cannot miss them, that what God assigned to them cannot be stolen. From that place you stop chasing, because the one who knows does not chase. You move through your days with an open hand instead of a clenched fist, and the open hand is finally able to receive. Understand this clearly. The quiet door is not laziness. You will still work, still plan, still take decisive action. But the action will no longer be powered by fear. It will be powered by trust. There is work that flows out of panic, and it is exhausting and rarely arrives anywhere good. And there is work that flows out of calm certainty, and it is light, and it is magnetic, and it draws the right people and the right open doors toward you almost effortlessly. Same effort outside, completely different harvest. Jesus did not chase. He moved through the world from a place of total inner stillness, never in a hurry, never frantic, even when the crowds pressed in, even when the cross itself drew near. He lived permanently behind the quiet door, and because of it, everything he needed found him. He was the living demonstration of a soul so anchored in trust that the whole world seemed to organize itself around his peace. And this same posture is available to you. It is not reserved for prophets and saints. It is your original state, the calm you were born with before the world taught you to be afraid. And every practice I'm about to give you is simply a way of removing the noise, so that the calm that was always there can rise back to the surface and become the place you live from. So let us move from understanding into practice, because truth that is only understood fades by tomorrow, but truth that is practiced becomes who you are. Begin with your breath, because your breath is the one door into your nervous system that you can open with your own hand. Right now, wherever you are, breathe in slowly through your nose, gently, to a count of 4. Hold it softly for a count of 4, and then release it slowly, even more slowly than you took it in, to a count of 6. Do it again. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, release long and slow for 6. With every exhale, you are sending a direct message to your own body. The message is, I am safe, the storm is not in charge, God is holding me and I can rest. Feel your shoulders lower, feel your jaw soften. This is you returning to your original frequency. Now, with your body settled, build something with your imagination, because the imagination is not a toy. Napoleon Hill called it the workshop of the mind, where every plan is created before it is ever made visible. What you build clearly and calmly on the inside, you begin to draw toward you on the outside. So picture yourself 1 year from tonight, The version of you who has lived this entire year behind the quiet door. No jolt of dread in the morning. A slow, peaceful waking. A moment of gratitude before your feet even touch the floor. See the way that version of you walks, shoulders down, face soft. The unhurried steadiness of a person who knows that what is theirs is already on its way. See the open doors, the answered prayers, the favor that flowed toward them, not because they fought harder, but because they became the frequency those blessings were always looking for. Sit inside that picture. Do not just look at it. Feel it. Because that feeling is not fantasy. It is a seed, and every time you return to it, you water it. Now let us give your mind its new instructions, because the calm state must be paired with the right words, or the old fearful words will rush back in to fill the silence. Napoleon Hill taught the principle of auto-suggestion, the deliberate, repeated feeding of chosen thoughts into the subconscious mind until that mind accepts them as simple fact. The subconscious does not argue. It simply accepts what you give it most often and with the most feeling, and then it goes to work making your outer life match it. So you must choose on purpose what you will give it. These are your declarations. Receive them not as words to recite, but as truths to settle into. Speak each one slowly on an exhale. I am calm, and because I am calm, I can clearly see the way. I do not chase what is mine, because what is mine is already moving toward me. So I release my grip, and in releasing I finally receive. The peace of God guards my mind, and a guarded mind cannot be defeated. I trust the timing of my life, because nothing assigned to me by God can ever arrive late. The calmer I become, the more life gives me, and I am becoming calmer every single day. Speak those words. But more than speaking them, agree with them. Saying it is the lips. Agreeing with it is the soul nodding yes. When you truly agree, you stop adding a silent but to the end of it. And that is the exact moment it begins to take root in the deep soil of your subconscious mind. Make these words a daily practice, not an occasional one. The mind is not changed by intensity. It is changed by repetition. There is a real principle behind this that science now calls neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to physically rewire itself based on what you repeat. One powerful day will not rebuild a lifetime of anxious thinking, but the same calm truths, repeated quietly every morning and every night, will, over weeks and months, carve a new groove so deep that calm becomes your default, and fear becomes the rare visitor. You are reprogramming the operating system you will run on for the rest of your life. And that brings us to the most powerful window of the entire day, the one almost everyone wastes. The minutes just before you fall asleep are sacred ground, and most people hand them over to the enemy of their own peace. They lie down and immediately scroll through other people's lives. They replay the argument from earlier. They rehearse tomorrow's worst case, and then they wonder why they wake up tired, heavy, and already anxious before the day has begun. As you drift off, your brain moves through slower wave states, where the conscious mind, the part that argues and doubts, steps aside, and the door to the subconscious swings wide open. Whatever you are feeling in that doorway gets carried inside and worked on all night long. So you must guard that doorway like the treasure it is. Build yourself a night ritual and protect it as something holy. As you lie down tonight, do not reach for the phone. Reach for the breath. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, release for 6, and let your body sink into the bed as if it is being held, because it is. You are held by the same God who holds the oceans in place and tells the stars where to stand. You can let go now. You are not the one keeping the world spinning. Then, in that quiet, do not review the failures of the day. Find 3 things to be grateful for, because it is impossible to be grateful and panicked in the same breath. Then speak your calm truth softly, like a lullaby to your own soul. Tonight all is well. What is mine is on its way to me. I release what I cannot control into hands far stronger than my own. And finally, see the peaceful picture and hold it gently as the last thing in your mind as you drift into sleep. Because here is what happens while you sleep. Your subconscious mind takes whatever you handed it and works on it for hours. If you handed it fear, it spends the night reinforcing fear. But if you handed it calm gratitude and a clear, peaceful vision, It spends the night building toward that vision, and even alerts your waking mind to opportunities you would otherwise have missed. Napoleon Hill said the subconscious works continuously, day and night, and that the person who learns to direct it deliberately gains access to a power the anxious will never know. You sleep for a third of your life. Imagine what changes when that third is finally working for you instead of against you. Do this every night, not perfectly, just faithfully. Some nights you will forget. The moment you notice, simply return. And slowly, without you noticing the day it happened, calm stops being something you do and becomes something you are. If you have made it this far with me, then something in you is serious about this. So let this be your second marker tonight. Down in the comments, write the word still. One word declaring that you are claiming this peace as your new ground. Let it be an agreement between you and God that the war is over, that you are laying the weight down, that you are choosing to become the calm soul that your blessing has been waiting for. Now I want to return to the question I gave you at the very beginning, the one I told you not to answer yet. What is God still waiting for you to put down before He can finally place something greater into your hands? You have carried that question through this entire message, and now you are ready for the answer. What God has been waiting for you to put down is the illusion of control. It is the heavy, exhausting belief that if you do not personally worry about it, grip it, force it, and manage every single detail of it, then it will all fall apart. That belief feels like responsibility, but it is actually fear wearing the costume of responsibility, and it has filled both of your hands. Your hands have been so full of trying to control everything that there has been no room left to receive anything. God has been standing in front of you this whole time, holding what is meant for you, waiting patiently for you to set down the weight you were never assigned to carry. There is a verse in the book of Exodus that closes this entire circle. The people of Israel were trapped, the sea in front of them and the army of Egypt behind them. And in that impossible moment, Moses said something that almost no anxious heart can accept. He said, "The Lord will fight for you, and you need only to be still." The instruction in the worst moment of their lives was not run faster, not fight harder. It was, be still. Their stillness was not weakness in that moment. Their stillness was the very thing that made room for God to move. And the sea opened, not because they forced it, but because they finally stopped trying to. This is the surrender the world has lied to you about. The world told you surrender means giving up, losing, going limp, but true surrender is handing the weight to the only one strong enough to carry it, and then walking forward with empty, open, peaceful hands, ready at last to receive. Surrender does not mean you stop moving. It means you stop carrying. You still take the steps. You simply stop dragging the entire mountain on your back while you take them. And when you do, you discover the promise hidden in the book of Romans, that all things work together for good for those who love God. All things, not most things. All things, including the delay, the closed door, the loss that broke your heart. The calm soul can believe that. The anxious soul cannot, because anxiety has to understand everything before it can rest. But faith rests first, and lets the understanding come later and is at peace either way. So feel the weight begin to lift off your shoulders right now. You can put it down. You were never meant to carry the outcome. You were only ever meant to carry the next calm step. The future is not yours to force. The future is yours to trust. And the moment you truly believe that, your hands open, and the life that has been waiting at the door this entire time finally has somewhere to set the blessing down. I want to speak now, directly, to the one who feels they have been waiting too long. The one who is tired, tempted to believe the promise was never real, that everyone else gets their blessing while you keep getting your burden. Your delay is not your denial. The fact that it has not happened yet does not mean it will not happen. Some of the greatest blessings in all of Scripture came after the longest waits. Abraham waited decades for the son he was promised. Joseph waited years in slavery and in prison before he rose to save a nation. The people who waited the longest often received the most, because the size of the preparation matched the size of the destiny. He is not building a shed. He is building something that will stand, and things built to last take longer to build. So do not give up. The dawn does not arrive because the night was short. It arrives because the night, however long, finally ends, and your night is ending. If you needed to hear that tonight, write the word still in the comments, a quiet vow that you will hold on through the waiting. We are near the end now, so let me gather the whole truth into your hands. You came here believing you had to chase, push, grip, and strive to pull your good toward you. And the truth has turned out to be the exact opposite. The calmer you become, the more life gives you. When you calm down, God is finally able to bring you what was always meant for you. Your peace was never the reward at the end of the road. Your peace was the road. Calm is not weakness. It is power that has stopped needing to prove itself. Stillness is not doing nothing. It is making room for God to do everything. You do not receive what you chase. You receive what you make room for. You do not receive with a clenched fist of fear. You receive with the open hand of trust. And the still small voice that has been trying to guide you your whole life can only be heard by a soul that has grown quiet enough to listen. So this is your invitation, and it is the only one that matters. Stop waiting for the storm to end before you allow yourself peace. Carry the peace into the storm and watch the storm begin to answer to you. Stop digging up your seeds to check on them. Plant them in calm faith. Cover them. Trust the soil and let them grow in the quiet. Stop carrying the weight of an outcome you were never assigned. Hand it back to the God who has been holding you all along. The life that is meant for you is not lost. It is not late. It is not in danger. It has simply been waiting patiently for you to become calm enough to receive it. And now, before you go, I am asking you to do one last thing, because this is how the truth gets sealed inside you. If this message found you tonight, understand this: it was sent, not suggested. It came looking for you in the exact season you needed it. So subscribe to this channel, not for an algorithm, but so that when your season shifts, and it will shift, the next word arrives right on time, on the loud days, on the heavy days, on the days the storm tries to convince you it is in charge. This is a place built to keep your mind anchored in truth, to keep returning you again and again to stillness. And if this video gave you something tonight, then like it, so it can find its way to another anxious heart that is silently begging for exactly this peace. If there is someone you love who is drowning in worry, share this with them. You may become the calm hand that pulls them back to the surface, and what you give away to lift another always rises back to lift you. Then go down to the comments one final time and write this single sentence so heaven and your own spirit can witness your decision. Write, "I am calm, and I trust that what is meant for me is already on its way." Write it slowly. Mean it. That sentence is a seed, and the comment section is your soil. And as your last act tonight, write the word peace, your final anchor, marking the moment you stopped striving and started trusting. Now close your eyes for just a moment and take one final slow breath with me. Breathe in gently and release it long and slow, and let everything you do not need to carry leave your body with that breath. You are held. You are guided. You are not behind. And you are not forgotten. What is yours is already on its way to you, and it is moving at the speed of your peace. So become calm and stay calm, and watch what a calm soul can finally receive. The calmer you become, the more life gives you. It has always been true, and starting tonight it becomes true for you.